Hi, in this video, we're going to take a detailed look at the strongest blood demon arts among all the upper moons in Demon Slayer. This topic sparks a lot of debate because every demon performs differently in each fight. But today, we're not judging physical stats, only their abilities themselves. In other words, how dangerous their techniques are on their own, ignoring the demon's raw strength and focusing purely on how the ability works. Write who you think will be in first place before you finish watching the video. You can even make your own ranking. Let's begin. In ninth place, we have Akaza. His technique, centered around combat foresight, makes him an exceptional fighter. He can see an opponent's weak points, analyze their breathing, fighting spirit, intent, and even the slightest changes in their stance. Thanks to this ability, Akaza inevitably finds his enemy's vulnerabilities and reacts incredibly fast in battle. Even without it, he'd still be one of the strongest close-range fighters because most of his strength comes from raw physical power. But this technique makes him almost untouchable. Against experienced swordsmen, especially those who can't hide their emotions, Akaza becomes nearly unbeatable. However, his technique is still limited by the need for close-quarters combat, high focus, and the fact that he'd still fight almost as well without it. Compared to the more versatile abilities of other moons, his technique lands in ninth place. In 8th place is Kaigaku, the demon who is Kokushibo's disciple. His black lightning technique is destructive, but it mainly works over time. His lightning damages the body from the inside, tearing tissue apart and increasing its impact with every additional strike. The problem is that Kaigaku's technique doesn't always work instantly and doesn't cause massive large-scale destruction. He's dangerous, of course, but his ability isn't versatile enough to rank higher. He lacks the consistency and control that the stronger upper moons possess. In 7th place is Daki. Her Obi sash manipulation technique is incredibly effective at long range. Her sashes can stretch for dozens of meters, shield her, create barriers, and capture enemies. They move almost like living organisms, can split apart, hide people inside them, and attack from multiple directions at once. At a distance, Daki is very dangerous. She can hold off several demon slayers at the same time. But once her sashes are destroyed, her power drops sharply. That's why her technique sits in the middle of the list. Strong, but too dependent on her sash organs. Next is Gyutaro. His technique revolves around his poisonous sickles. They're extremely dangerous not only because of their unpredictable fast attacks, but also because of the lethal poison that most demon slayers have no antidote for. The sickles can change direction, grow out of his flesh, increase in size, and create chaotic patterns of attack. A single hit can be fatal if the victim doesn't receive help quickly. Gyutaro is one of those demons whose technique alone can kill even much stronger enemies simply due to the poison. However, based on our criteria, he ranks 6th because his technique, while deadly, still requires landing a hit and doesn't affect large areas. 5th place goes to Kokushibo, arguably the most terrifying swordsman among demons. His technique, based on flesh-forming blades, takes close-range combat to an entirely different level. His blades can change shape, appear at different parts of his sword, extend in length, unleash waves of cutting energy, and attack from multiple angles at once. Even elite demon slayers with advanced breathing forms struggle to withstand the speed and density of his attacks. Kokushibo combines technique with unmatched swordsmanship, and it's actually his skill and physical strength that make him upper rank 1. His technique itself is more of a secondary factor. 4th place goes to Nakime. Her power is unique. She controls Muzan's Infinity Castle. She can manipulate the structure of the fortress, teleport people, separate demon slayers, create traps, move entire groups of demons, and confuse opponents by making them wander endlessly through shifting corridors. The main advantage of her technique is absolute spatial control within the castle. She can simply relocate an enemy, isolate a group of demon slayers, split them apart, or drop them into an abyss by moving walls and floors. The only downside is that she is bound to the fortress and cannot use her ability outside of it. But within that space, Nakime is practically invincible. Her technique is one of the best forms of spatial manipulation in the entire anime. 3rd place goes to Yoko, and many viewers underestimate him because the anime didn't show his abilities at full scale. He can turn people into fish, which alone is absurdly dangerous since it completely robs the victim of physical control. On top of that, he creates water prisons in which a person cannot breathe. He can spawn monsters, move between vases, and appear anywhere unexpectedly. His technique is flexible and deadly with massive destructive potential. The variety and scale of his abilities are precisely what place him so high on the list. 2nd place belongs to Hantengu. His ability lies in creating emotional clones that fight in his stead. It's the perfect technique for wearing an opponent down. While the avatars battle, Hantengu's main body can hide, regenerate, and wait out the danger. Each personality has its own set of techniques. To defeat Hantengu, a fighter needs not just strength, but unbroken concentration until the very end. He can escape, shrink, disguise himself, hide inside wood, and then send his avatars to attack again. It's one of the most practical demon techniques, though Hantengu never used it to its fullest. For example, Gyoko could have teleported him far away, letting the avatars fight until the demon slayers collapsed. And finally, in first place, we have Doma. His ice abilities make him one of the most terrifying opponents demon slayers have ever faced. He can create ice clones, freeze the surrounding air, slow the breathing of demon slayers, and even freeze their lungs from the inside. Since breathing is the foundation of demon slayer strength, freezing the lungs strips them of their fighting ability entirely. Doma can create a large number of clones, control the battlefield with ice, generate deadly ice spikes and traps, and form zones where demon slayers lose mobility. His technique, a combination of large-scale control, breathing suppression, and clone creation, makes him the absolute champion on this list. And just like Hantengu, he never truly used his full potential. Now I want to hear your thoughts. Which upper moon techniques do you think are the strongest if we completely ignore the demon's physical strength? Share your opinions in the comments. I read every one of them, and I reply to the most interesting.